Alright, good morning. I'm going to do this walkthrough with you. We'll first walk around the outside of the camper, go through anything I can show you, and then we'll head on the inside. And if you have any questions after watching this video, just let me know and I'd be happy to show you when you come. We'll start out in the front. It's a 2 5/16 trailer ball, and you'll want your ball height set to about 22 inches from the ground to the top of the trailer. Does have a power tongue jack on it, so you can just raise it or lower it. Also, there's a little knob here. You can use manual override. There's a crank in the storage compartment, so if your battery was ever dead, you could still do that. And there's a little LED light as well. 2 propane tanks are underneath, and I have them in the on position now, so I can show you how to use the furnace and water heater. 12-volt battery right there. Storage compartment is here, and then there's a little latch here that helps hold that door open. You can see, looks like fishing pole storage. Here's that jack I was telling you about. This here latch is for when this door would come open. You can latch to the door onto here, and that way it won't be blowing around on you. Stabilizers on all 4 corners. You just use a 3/4 inch socket and an impact. You want to put a pad or something or a cinder block underneath them though. What these do is help stabilize the camper as you're walking around, so it's not quite as wobbly on the inside. Steps here, you pull right here where it says to pull. And then same thing on the next one, and those open up for you. Tires here, we have them all aired up. They say 80 pounds on them. We usually air them up to between 70 and 75. That way if you do get some hot weather you're driving in, generally they'll have a little bit of room because the road heat really expands the air pressure. Keep in mind to always check your tires before you go on a trip. Furnace is right here, so you're going to have hot air coming out here. You also want to make sure no bugs nests get on the outside here because that's your air intake. This is just an access panel for the refrigerator. If a technician ever had to service the fridge, this is where they would do it. But once or twice a year, you're going to want to pull that off and blow it out. 110 volt electrical receptacles here. Same thing with this door. Little latch on here, catches on there to hold the door from blowing around. And these steps fold in just like the other steps did. Another stabilizer jack on that corner. Handle here, you lift it up and you can put it to whichever position you like. Large power awning on this side. I'll go through that with you when we go inside. That's a vent for the stove, and then a little porch light above that. Walking around to the back. Spare tire on the back. This is your power cord. It's a 30 amp service, so it's a 30 amp electrical cord. And then underneath here you have coax hookups if you do go somewhere that still uses cable or satellite connections. Another stabilizer here. I did have the technician secure these for you. These are your slide out arms right here. Nothing you really have to do to them at this point. If you do ever have to adjust them, there's adjustments vertical and horizontal here. Or any RV dealer can do it as well. Storage compartment here. And again, a little latch here. Walking around over here, this is your water heater. I have it running now. If you look in there, you'll see the flame going right there. If you ever need to check if you have water in your water heater, you can just pull this little valve, but you want to be very careful because if you have it on, that's hot water. And then here's a drain plug right there for when you want to drain it. This is for flushing your black tank, which is your sewage tank. If you hook a hose up to here, at the same point, you have your flush hose on here. Then it's going to flush water throughout that whole system to flush out the tank. Just be very careful not to mix these two up. It's very important. This is the tank here that supplies water to your camper. I shouldn't say tank, it's not a tank. This is, you hook up a hose to here and it's running everything right to your faucets, shower, toilet, etc. On your dump station below, that's what we have here. I'm just looking to see if there's any. Alright, it's hard to get under here because I'm on a gravel driveway, but if you see this knob here and then a knob next to it, those are what you pull when you want to empty the sewage. You'll turn this dial off, you'll hook up a connector, and then you pull those knobs. Walking around over here, outdoor shower. I'm just gonna see if I have the right key on me, which I think I do. These are usually a universal key. And they are. So little hot and cold water outdoor shower. This here is for potable water. What this is onboard water storage. If you're going camping somewhere that does not have a hose, which is what you would hook up to here, then you could hook up water and fill it here. However, you want to fill your water at your destination, so you may have to pump it in or whatever. You do not want to travel with a full tank of water. You can travel with a little water, usually a third of a tank at the most. Otherwise, that's really hard on the tank and just more weight you got to carry around. Another storage compartment here. This is just the same. This is the other side of the pass-through that we've seen over there. All right, we can head on inside. All right, when we first walk on, we got some controls. Walk in, we have some controls on the wall. First one on top is the awning. Just extend it by hitting extend. I'm on a hill now, but if you're level, the awning will go right out. Well, you've seen that yesterday, but you can bring it all the way out. But here's the thing, you don't want to put these out in windy conditions. If it's windy or raining, keep it retracted. That's a good way to wreck an awning and sometimes even wreck the camper. So here I have the water heater lit. I have it running on the gas, but if I wanted to run it off electricity, I could. I would just hit the switch instead. I can turn that off now. Actually, I'm gonna let it run to see how long it takes. Most of them take about 45 minutes roughly to heat up, enough that you get hot water for a shower, and then a shower will usually only last about 3 minutes. So you gotta take quick showers, keep that in mind. Slide out controls, I'll do that when we're done because it'll get too tight in here. These are your water tank controls. Battery level. It's showing empty right now. It's not, it's plugged in. Fresh water, black water, which is, so fresh is the onboard water. Black water is your sewage, your toilet water after you've used it. Gray water is your sink and shower water after you've used them. These gauges are never very accurate, so they're just a rough idea. Sometimes, especially with the black ones, the battery ones usually never work, but the black ones, what that'll do is it'll tell you it's full even when it's empty, because if you have toilet paper, that sticks on that little sensor. So the best you can do is just make sure you flush your system when you drain that black tank, and then you'll know you'll be fine. Also use a lot of water when flushing, so I'll show you how to do that when we get into the bathroom there. Okay, so I'm going to try to run the water now, but I'm not hooked up to a hose, so I have to use this water pump right here. If I was hooked up to a hose, I wouldn't need that pump. I'm going to turn on more lights. There is lights switches when you first walk in, but there's also light switches on the lights, so you can control them individually. So cold water there, I'm sorry, that was hot water there, cold water there, and then off. So I'm not sure if you hear that noise or not. If you hear that little motor running when you're calling for water, that'll only happen if you have the water pump in the on position, which we do now. If you're using a hose, you won't use the water pump. But what that's doing is it's pumping the water. That noise is the motor pumping water through the system. When we're done calling for water, that pump should turn off within a few seconds. If that pump were to remain running consistently, that would tell us that there's a leak in the system. But the fact that it's shutting off when we're not calling for water is exactly what we want to see. It tells us that the system's holding pressure and there's no leaks. Coming over here to the oven or stovetop, just turn the dial to whichever one you want to light. Hit the sparker. Sometimes you have to use a barbecue grill lighter. These sparkers don't always work the best. And turn it off. And the last one. This one actually works pretty good, but sometimes you're sitting there turning them for a minute before they click on, if ever. Okay, the refrigerator is an auto fridge. What that means is it's two-way refrigerator. It'll first use electricity, but if there was ever a power failure, it'll switch over to propane, as long as you have good battery and propane in the tanks. To open the fridge, you press this little thumb switch and just pull the door. Takes about 4 to 6 hours to cool, and it's ice cold now, but it's been plugged in all night, so. And same with right here. Nice and cold. Down below, we have LP propane detector, which are pretty much garbage, and I'll explain that in a minute. And I might not be able to do this with one hand. I might have to pause my phone for a second. Yeah, I'll have to do this. Hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. I got to usually use a little pry tool, screwdriver, or something like that to get in there. This is all your 12-volt fuses and all your 110-volt breakers. So it's a good idea to keep some of those with you when you go camping. And just close it again to shut it. Back over here, we have a light above your stovetop, and then a fan right next to that as well. So 2 different switches there. Microwave, you probably know how to use that. Air conditioner, I'll show you this here. So before I turn it on, because they're kind of loud, I want to explain it a little bit. So this side of the air conditioner here is the return. This side does not blow air. This sucks air in. And there's a foam filter in there you have to clean out every week or 2 during the summer. You just blow it out with, take it out, blow it out with an air line. You can buy replacements if you want to, but usually you can just blow them out just fine. Especially if you notice it's not getting cool during summertime, it's usually just a dirty filter. The air comes out of these little ports, and you see there's a lever here to open them. So if I have it like this, the air will dump down. If I have these ports closed, then it uses the central air, and it will push the air through out of all that ductwork. To turn it on, I just come back here, turn my desired temperature on, turn it to cool, and then give it a minute or so. It has to go through a startup procedure. But one thing to note also, if the temperature is not right, like for example, I don't know if it's 55 in here right now or not. The coldest setting it allows me to go to on here is 55. If that's not the case, I may have to turn the heater on for a minute to get that to crank on. But they just take about a minute, usually roughly to, oh, I hear it turning on anyway, to turn on. So if you can hear that, I don't feel anything right here, but if I open that, then I feel it. And again, that sends the air that way and through the vents in both directions. Just like so. And then the furnace comes out the other side. Let's go to off here, and then we'll have to turn the temperature the other way. I'm just going to crank it all the way up. Turn it to heat. So right now, we hear the furnace right here, but it doesn't blow air out of here. It actually sucks air into here and blows air out the floor. Now, if you just heard that click and you can probably hear the fire going, it's an automatic lighting pilot. So it takes about 30 seconds or so before it lights, but once it does, you got heat. Give it a few minutes. It's already warm, but give it a few minutes and it gets really nice and toasty. Same thing when you turn it off. It doesn't turn off immediately. The fire will go off immediately, but you'll still hear the blower run for roughly 30 seconds or so. Okay. Stereo over here. Let's see if I can find how to volume here. Okay, and we can turn it off right there. And it looks like there's a powered subwoofer on here. I've never tried to use that. And then here's radio controls, coaxial hookups, and then receptacle as well. There is a TV mounted on the wall here. You have to make sure you move this TV when putting this slide out in and out, because if you didn't, when the slide out would come in, it could knock that TV right off the wall. So we have to keep that in mind. We'll head on over into the bathroom here. Sorry, this video is taking a little longer than I thought it would. So the toilet is a foot flush. So for liquids, just a quick flush like that. But for solids, you want to flush it and hold it for a good 5 to 10 seconds to get more water in that tank to help break down your solids. Very important. And then shower here. I'll try to do this without getting wet, but oh, it's good. It's in tub mode. So cold water, hot water, and then if you wanted to turn the shower, you just lift this valve up. Lock that in. Light switch is right on the light. Little fan switch right here, and then there is a vent to crank open the top. I'm sorry, right there. And secondary water, cold water there, and hot water there. And you'll notice there's a GFI outlet here. So if you run hair dryers or coffee makers, sometimes you can blow a fuse. You'll wonder why your outlet's not working. If you come back over here, there's a little reset button right on the front of it, but it is telling you that you're asking for more current than the camper's allowing. So be cautious if you do that. If you keep blowing fuses, that means there's a reason. Not much to show in the bedroom here. Looks like there's some reading lights here. I don't even know if they work or how they turn on. I'm going to figure it out for you. Oh yeah, you just turn the knob one way and then back around. This little crank here is an antenna. So there's a mast on a roof that would raise up with that crank or lower back down. That's used more for analog signal now. It seems like everybody uses like Starlink internet or some other internet sources. Extend your counter space. There's a little top here that can fold up. Oh, you got fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, and carbon monoxide detectors. You're going to want to replace them all with a brand you're aware of, like Kitty. Don't use these cheap ones that the campers come with. Replace them with something good, usually like Home Depot, Amazon. Get an LP carbon monoxide detector, and then when you get them, make a little note on the inside of your cabinet here of the date you bought them. And then every 3 years, change them out. Sometimes it's 5 years, but I usually say 3 just to be safe. Kind of important, so don't stick with the ones in the camper here. Alright, last thing will be the television. I'm sorry, the slide out, but I first have to move the television. So it's out of the way, like so. And then I want to look to make sure I have clearances all the way around. You notice the television was in the way on that side, and the recliner is in the way on this side. So if I just turn it sideways and sneak it back there, then it looks like the slide out sneaks right past it. Then I come over here to the slide button and just hit in. Now you want to make sure you're hooked up to power if possible when doing this, because it takes a lot of power to do this. You see it kind of lifts up out of that little pocket there and comes on in. You also want the camper level when you're doing this. You really want your camper level all the time, to be honest with you. They're meant to be more watertight when the camper is level. If the camper is not level, they can get some leaks. You'll see it gets nice and tight in here when it comes in. Generally, I'll turn off all the lights first. I forgot to do that because now it's going to be hard to get back there to shut them off. But I'll just open this back up again. All the way till it stops. Alright guys, that should be it. Congratulations on your camper. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. There is a couple sets of keys for it here. The front door keys are different than the back door keys. And the little silver key is for all the outside storage compartments. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you soon.